Hey moms, it's Nakimi. Welcome to the channel and space for single moms navigating motherhood. And as always, we do not bash the baby daddies because, well, we are here now. So today I want to talk about single moms and dating and give my think piece on it. In short, I am vehemently against it if you do not have certain things in order and in place. Oftentimes after a breakup, especially if it's with the father of our children, whether it's we became a single mom by product of divorce, or if we just were, dating or in a relationship with our baby's dad and we became single mothers, however the story goes, the road led to you being a single mom, right? But if your relationship with your child's father was a bad breakup, it can often lead you jaded in a sense. And like sometimes we'll jump into the dating pool just to level up. We'll do it just to prove to, our child's father, we can do him one better. Oh, you want to be future? Bet. I'm going to go find me a Russell, right? And far too often, it doesn't happen the way that we want it to. Like the new relationship it's not the fairy tale ending like you see with Sierra and Russell Wilson. So I think that it is imperative before you approach dating that you are healthy in every area. You guys already know I'm a huge advocate for mental health for single moms. So I think that first of all, you need to be healing and growing, which means you don't need to be jumping into a relationship right after a breakup, right? And I'm not saying that after the breakup, you have to be the one that's sliding down the wall and you have to be down and out and depressed. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that you need to make sure, you need to look at that relationship in its totality. And you need to figure out if he was a bad guy or he treated you so horribly, what was it about him that attracted you to him? Like, how did you get there? Because I can almost assure you that a healthy and whole woman, right, or one that's mentally healthy, that has spiritual discernment, that's on top of her spiritual game, cannot be bamboozled. You're going to see the BS a mile away. You know what I mean? And so with that being said, again, I think you have to take a look and step back from dating and figure out, okay, what am I going to do differently going forward? And now that you have children, right, you're not just dating for you, you're dating for your children as well, because you want your new guy to come in and be just as loving to your children as you want him to be towards you. But when you are healthy and when you are healing and when you have gone to therapy, okay, and you have really done the shadow work and you have really gained self-awareness, spiritual discernment, and you are now going into the dating from a space of joy and peace and whole and happiness all by yourself, you're not desperate, right? You're not desperate. So it lowers the chances of you repeating the same old thing, entertaining the same familiar spirits, right? And then you don't want to find your quote unquote Russell, but you self-sabotage it because you still have not done the work that you need to do. And maybe there's some issues, some trauma that you're dealing with that you may not even know it. But I can tell you, becoming a single mother is traumatic in itself, right? Because when the teachers ask you, when you were 5 years old, what did you want to be in life? I can almost assure you no one ever said, I wanted to grow up and be a single mom. Little girls may have said, I wanted to grow up and be a mother, but they never said no single mom, right? So that in itself is traumatic, especially a divorce on top of that. Any breakup, that's traumatic in itself, right? So you definitely want to deal with that, because you don't want to bring all of that negative energy to your new guy. You don't want to make him pay for your ex's mistakes when he's just genuinely a good guy. You know? So you definitely want to be healthy and happy and whole first. And then you want to not only relish in being a single mother, right? You want to fall in love with your current life, with where you are now on your journey. Your home should already be happy. A man should not come in to, make everything magically better. And it's a mess. It's a hot mess. You're everywhere. Clothes is everywhere. You're scatterbrained. You're struggling with your emotions and everything. Like, you've got to get yourself together. Right? I talked yesterday about being intentional with, your kids. Just because a man is out in the household doesn't mean you can't be intentional about the family time. You got to really fall in love with where you are now. You got to have your routine with your kids. You've got to kind of have it down pack where it's slow and steady, where every day it's not feeling like it's so overwhelming or underwhelming. Where you don't know whether you're going or coming. Because if you're already operating in if you're in survival mode, you're not going to be able to discern if this new guy is a blessing from your higher power, or if he was sent by the enemy to either distract you or completely destroy you. And you always have to remember that you're not only dating for yourself, you're dating for your children. You want this new guy to come in and be a family man, I would imagine. You want him to love and respect your children and be there for them and care for them and help you raise them, right? I think also, like, having a good co-parenting relationship, like squaring away the issues with your baby daddy, whatever that looks like. If it looks like, he's never around, he doesn't call, if you got to cut communication ties, change your number, whatever it is, completely give that over to the Lord. I don't know if you decide to move to a completely different town. It's, whatever the situation is, if it's keeping the conversations minimum but respectful, or if it's you guys are, you and your child's father are able to communicate, making sure that is healthy, that you are, kind of letting him know, hey, I'm about to introduce the kids to this, my new guy, and, you guys kind of talking about what your boundaries will be and things of the nature. Because just like you don't want to go in a relationship and deal with baby mama drama, guys shouldn't have to deal with baby daddy drama either, And it's also going to be healthy for your kids, because you don't want a situation where, this man comes in and all you've done is dogged out your baby daddy, and now he feels like he can just say or do whatever. Like, no, at the end of the day, for those kids, that's still those kids' dad. So even he has to come in and have some type of discipline with his emotions as well. And I'm not saying that he should bow down or anything like that. Of course not. But what I am saying is he's got to know that, hey, I can't just go around talking about these kids' father. That's their father, irregardless. Because if you and the new guy doesn't work out, you and the father of your child or children will always be a family, even if that family does not look like you guys are romantically involved. You're always going to be related and have to deal with each other because of those children, by extension of those kids. So definitely having a good co-parenting relationship. you know. Being emotionally intelligent. You got to be emotionally intelligent, because if your new guy comes in and, you know, you guys, just say for instance, you guys have gotten married now, or, you know, let's just say the relationship is making its way on down to, you know, years. You know, he's around the kids now. Maybe you guys are living together, and, you know, he's helping to support and raise those children. You've got to be able to be okay with him also disciplining your kids. You know, you see it where the man comes in and the mother, says she has one son, and, you know, the new guy can't do anything with the son because she's like, no, you can't talk to my boy that way. You know, you don't want to be so overprotective, because I get it, right? You definitely want to make sure that any new person that comes in and disciplines your kids, or any type of treatment of your kids, is coming from a place of love. But you also can't be so guarded to where you're thinking you're not being rational with your emotions. Because no one wants to provide for your children, be there for your children, and love your children in every way except for the discipline area. You gotta, if you either you trust the man or you don't. Either you trust that he loves your child or children, or you don't. And if you don't, then well, you may want to rethink the relationship. Because you're going to always protect your kids first. I said it. We'll crash out and behind our children. We will do 25 to life without the possibility of parole for our kids. Yes, we will, as we should. You know, but we definitely don't want to be just so overprotective that we're doing them more harm than we are good. Because whether we like it or not, kids need a mother and a father, a strong, happy mother and father in the home, you know. And not to say that a single parent cannot raise good kids. They can, but that's not the way it was supposed to be. The load is not meant for one to carry all of the burden, right? So definitely being emotionally intelligent, and also having a bond with your kids. You know, like I said, be intentional with your children, making sure that you already have established and implemented, you know, family traditions, whether it's Christmas in Colorado, or, you know, you guys are intentional about just your family time. Because whether or not a man is there, again, you got to be intentional with your kids. You know, you got to know your kids, because some kids are silenced by their bonus parents. You know, they're afraid of them. And if you can't tell your kids gestures, or, you know, whatever, you need to be able to recognize that, especially if they can't talk yet. But most importantly, you have to remember that, you know, when you get into a relationship, your kids are also in a relationship with that person. They get used to kind of having, you know, the guy around, and they start to feel like a family, and they start to, you know, take a liking to him and getting used to him being around, and liking the dynamic. And especially if, you know, things are good between you and him, you're all happy and you guys are doing things with the kids. And so then when you guys break up, that can feel like the rug has just been snatched right from beneath them. That can be something that they're dealing with as well. They go through those emotions with you, whether they show it or not. You know, when you're a single mom, you really got to vet your partners, your future partners. You got to ask yourself, one, if you already know how relationships go. No relationship is perfect. There are going to be times that you guys don't always agree, right? So you definitely want to make sure that your style of communication is healthy for not only you guys, but for your kids. And you already know the ups and downs. What if this guy turns out to be, you know, just another fluke? Are you really ready to, you know, be sliding down the wall again? Do you even want to deal with it? Do you want to take that chance? Because everything is a risk. There are people that are married for 25, 30, 40 years and then get a divorce. So nothing is promised to last forever, right? So you gotta see if the sacrifice is worth the gain. Is that something that you really want to deal with? And if so, how will you, if by the off chance it goes south, how are you going to be able to manage your emotions and get through a heartbreak along with still being there for your children? Right? Because you can't be like, come pick up your clothes, I have them folded, while you're trying to do laundry and piece together your baby's clothes. Like that's what these babies say, diabolical. That's crazy. And the truth of the matter is, y'all, single moms, we have a lot going on. Just between being a mom, we got to do all this extra stuff for the babies. They're in every type of sport, and we're busy. We are busy all while, handling our career, leveling up ourselves. We got to get to the gym. We're out there shopping for perfumes and lingerie and, doing everything to make us feel good because like I said yesterday, we're getting intentional about ourselves, right? We've got appointments at the beauty parlor. We got to attend to, it's just so much, right? So you definitely don't want to add extra stress if you don't have to. And you definitely don't want to just get in a relationship, fall in love with a guy, and, he's not really intentional, but you're acting out of desperation, so you don't even pay attention to the red flags. You see the red flags and you think you're at the circus, because then that could just rock your world all over again. Just when you've rebuilt and got yourself together for you and your kids, and y'all are on a routine and y'all are, rocking it as a family. Inviting the wrong spirit into your lives can be devastating. It can set you back, So just something to think about. I mean, for me personally, I guess I say no to it if you haven't really done the work. If you're really not taking your time and doing what you're supposed to do. Like if you're just jumping to a relationship because you're codependent or you don't want to be alone, that's not good. But if you're ready and you've got it down pat and you're like, you know what? My kids are good. I've discussed this with my kids, what if mommy meets somebody? How are you guys going to feel about that? You're like, if you've pretty much, crossed your T's and dotted your I's, and you feel it in your spirit that you're ready, that you're ready to identify a healthy relationship and also effectively communicate, and date in a healthy way, go for it. Go for it. But if you're not, don't do it. Just don't. Try to save yourself that headache. For sure. But that was really all that I wanted to share with you guys. Let me know in the comments what's your take on it. And as always, you got this, mamas. I love you guys. Till next time. Bye.